Good morning, my friends. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And these words of wisdom are definitely for me as well. I don't know what to do except laugh. I mean, why not? What the heck? Because throughout this, I don't know what I even want to call this. It's not really an ordeal. It's not really a debacle. I don't know. These events of the last several days, I've been highly attuned to the fact that there's something I'm meant to be gleaning from this, and um, kind of asking myself, how well am I doing on gleaning what's meant to come from this? Good morning, Barb. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. Maybe you can glean with me. How's that? So, I am sustaining a semi-positive relationship with the events that are unfolding. And again, very aware, highly aware that there's something here to be learned. There's something of value to be learned. Good morning, Miss Jonille. Glad you are here. Welcome. And I think I have my LinkedIn glitch fixed from the other day where it wasn't doing what it needed to do. So making headway. So the saga, and then I'll lead into our card, which actually made me laugh out loud because I'm kind of like, really? Really? And I guess the answer is really. um, so we were dumped on with 27.5 inches of snow, a brand new record. Yay, yippee. Was on my Zoom yesterday with my beloved coffee group, and many of them are saying they're not likely to get plowed out until Friday. And they were just very happy they had power. They only had a little bit of a glitch with the power, which is not typical for up there. Usually you sneeze and the power's out for a couple of days and everybody fires up their generators and away we all go. But this time the power grid did what a power grid ought to do, and they maintained power. They just were all stuck. And I'm in the middle of the city, the middle of the city. There are what? Almost 100,000 people in this city, and I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck. So I just screenshotted and sent to the people who get to listen to me whine. Good morning, Nancy. Glad you are here. Welcome. The interchange between myself and my plow guy, who, if he shows up today, he gets the opportunity to remain my plow guy. He finally got out yesterday, and truck got stuck in the driveway. Yes, my little brother's truck was stuck in his driveway for 2 days. So, yes, this is an epic storm. I totally get that. I totally get that. But when I text you and you respond, we'll have you cleaned out today. To me, that means you'll be cleaned out today, right? So I make my plans accordingly, blah, blah, blah. Well, over the course of yesterday, I ended up shoveling the whole front walk so that the postal people could get in. And two of them showed up yesterday. And you could see they were exhausted because they're having to climb everybody's 27-inch piles of snow, and even higher than that because we had 60-mile-an-hour winds. So it's a mess. So I didn't want to create more difficulty for them. Thank God my neighbors on both sides each took a swipe at my sidewalk. So, and the kids, I think, are probably going back to school today, so they can at least walk on the sidewalk. But so I sent a message to my plow guy yesterday and I said, still not plowed out. What's the plan? And he responded, we're sending a different driver, should be plowed out today, which said to me, the previous driver's getting fired. So waited, nothing, did my little shoveling out front. Then I thought, well, there's a huge pile almost to the top of my vehicle behind my car. I'll try to remove that because I really don't want him getting that close to my vehicle with the plow anyway. And where he's going to shove all this, I have no idea. Yeah, that's why he's the plow guy and I'm sitting here. So went out there, shoveled a bunch. My back is like, lady, you're nuts. So it wasn't, it was like the first 2 rows of shoveling were light, fluffy stuff. The third one, it had started to melt and condense, and it was wet and heavy. So yeah, so I got my exercise, and I met my new neighbor because he's like, why aren't you plowed out yet? And he was out there 6 times during the course of the blizzard, blowing snow to try to stay ahead of it. So I explained, and he said, maybe I need the name of your plow guy. And I'm like, well, given how this is going, perhaps not. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. Welcome. So last night, he said I'd be plowed out yesterday. So last night, 10:30, I'm stewing, right? Working really hard to, okay, what am I meant to learn? What am I figuring out here? What's the best way to approach this? Blah, blah. Send him one more message. And this morning there was no response to that message. And I'm like, okay, now am I being ghosted? Who gives a shit if you're ghosted for dating sites? But getting the snow out of the end of your driveway? Yeah, don't mess with that. So this morning I sent him, it would be helpful, or something along like, it would be wise. I don't remember what word I used. Anyway, if you were here early this morning, because the school's going to start, kids are going to get dropped off, the warehouse is on a main drag, and once the traffic starts, you're going to have a hard time maneuvering, blah, blah. He sends back, okay, great. If you don't get it dug out, let me know and we'll be there. And I'm like, wasn't I clear? I thought I was clear. Communication, that wonderful communication thing, taking the war out of our words, right? Time to walk the talk. So I sent back, no, what I'm saying is I need you to be here early because I have to be able to get into the warehouse at 10 a.m. I have someone coming from Green Bay, and she's not going to be a happy gal if she gets here and you haven't cleaned this mess up. So then we get we get today's card. Surrender to prayer. So we'll read that in a moment, but I just had to share the saga because it's not quite as funny if you don't get the whole story, right? So let us begin with some tapping and some breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Little deeper, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. How does that feel? A little slower, a little calmer, a little more willing to focus on what's the universe trying to teach me. Finished up a really interesting book last night that kind of ties in with all the stuff. I mean, I've got my other books already going, the Sophia Code, blah, blah, blah. This one is from, I believe, 1973. And it's by Jane Roberts, who's the author of the Seth Speaks book, which if you haven't ever read that, go back because it's channeled information. And it was one of the earliest books that identified itself as channeled information, right? So this one was a novel based on the principles that were downloaded in the Seth books. And so I just finished that up last night and was like, it had a very expansive feel to it. So that to me made a whole lot of sense with what's going on. Good morning, Mel. Happy Wednesday to you as well. So Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff, and transform your life by letting go. And again, what are we now? 4 days into this mess? And I feel like I really have made some major steps with regard to the letting go. And I do have in the back of my memory, my plan. Yeah, if he doesn't show up, I'll be done with him and I'll move on to a different plow company. Is that going to be easy post-storm to get a different company? Probably not. Usually you line that stuff up in like October or November. However, This is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. And there's things I'm meant to be learning from this. And I'm so happy and grateful that I'm open to receiving the message. Surrender to prayer. Take a breath. Let it go. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. Now, it doesn't say the answers you want and the support you expect will arrive. It says answers and support will arrive. So, one of the things that I think many of us who were raised in Christian traditions were misled about is the idea that we do like intercessory prayer, or we're praying on behalf of ourselves or someone else. Here, God, here's what we need. Here's how we need it. Here's what we want it to look like, sound like, feel like. Here's the color it ought to be. Here's the size and the shape. Get her handled. As opposed to more what I've come to, which is conversations with God, universe, spirit, creator, however you look at it, conversations. Just like I'm having a conversation with you. Well, it's a one-sided conversation other than what you put in my feed. But the point being, it's a back and forth, right? And instead of the only time we connect to the divine being when we need something or when something is amiss, having ongoing conversations, including the appreciative stuff. And some of us do a pretty good job of appreciative stuff and the asking for what we need, but there's a whole lot of area in the middle. A running commentary with God about what you're paying attention to, what you're noticing, what you're enjoying, what you notice that could use a little tweak, offering yourself up as a vehicle to be utilized. Okay, so there's a piece that just clunked into place. Sharing all of this with you, I'm being a vehicle. I'm being that hollow reed for hopefully provocative information, something to think about, something to talk about. Hey, I listened to this thing this morning and she was talking about prayer, and it was a real different perspective on prayer than what I have come to believe prayer to be. What do you believe prayer to be? Having conversations. And I feel, and that was an interesting part of this book, the basic gist behind the book, it's something along the lines of the education of Oversoul number 7. And the gist of it is this Oversoul is being trained and tested on concepts, higher order concepts, fifth dimensional concepts, and learning things through, I think there were 5 people who were in different lifespans. So one is in the 1950s, one is 35,000 BC, one is like 2325 AD. All these different lifespans and all the things they're learning and how they interweave, and the coming together at the end of all of them, and the realization on each of their parts that all of these lifetimes really truly are occurring simultaneously. Because we may have an 80, 90, 100-year lifespan, but the universe has an infinite lifespan. And when you look at something through the perspective of infinity, 80 years is a drop in the bucket. So really, truly, from that perspective, it's all happening at once. It's all happening at once. Parallel universes, however you want to look at it. But it was such an interesting, mind-expanding, provocative book. So surrender to prayer. Surrender to what is. Surrender and allow. Look for what are you meant to learn from various unfoldings. Like I really feel I'm in a place of looking at, what is this meant to teach me? what and not wanting to slide back into, because in the past I certainly would have believed that what this was meant to teach me was you got to do it all yourself, you can't count on other people, blah 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 blah, all the stuff, right? Being out there with the snowblower, well, and I did that at the motel. You'd be out there 4 or 5 or 6 times trying to stay ahead of it. Certainly I couldn't do the motel parking lot, that had to be a plow guy, but the main parking area right in front of the building and underneath the eaves and all that stuff, that was mine. So how does this chime for you? What are you taking away from this? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Surrender to prayer. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. Again, not the answers that you necessarily want, not the support that you expect, but answers and support nonetheless. So, how are you connecting right now with the divine? How are you connecting with the universe? What kind of methods of communication do you have? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So, there's our card again. She's got her little wings behind her, kind of like that. Is she in water? Looks like she's standing in water. Yes. So, and water, emotions, the classic symbol for emotions. So, let's see where we get today. Have an awesome day. Know that you're capable of far more than you think you are. And let's see how this day unfolds. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.